Welcome back to another episode of Talk Dead to Me, the only Walking Dead podcast with the guts to start at season 10. I'm your host, Johnny Odell. I run the social media for The Walking Dead. This week, we have DJ himself, Matt Mangum, on the podcast. He is a phenomenal talent. He was a savior on the show who was bad, and then evolved to good, and then evolved to his head being on a spike thanks to Alpha. Also, probably one of the best hair situations going on in the Walking Dead universe. And it was good to see that his decapitated head maintained that illustrious glow. Anyway, enough about his hair, or maybe more about it later. Who knows? He's also a fantastic follow on Twitter. It's Matt Mangum 2. So make sure to follow him up and give him some love. So let's just get right into it. Matt Mangum from The Walking Dead on Talk Dead to Me. Roll it past me.
By the way, I don't know if you've seen this movie. I just saw it last night. It's called Host. It's this movie that takes place entirely on Zoom.
I saw your tweet about it this morning.
It's nuts. It's on Shudder, which is like a horror streaming service. And it's insane, dude. It's really good. It's well acted.
It's brilliant creativity for them to come up with something like that in this time when we're not doing anything else but Zooming all day. It's pretty brilliant. I want to check it out.
All right, so let's get into your background, Matt.
Sure.
Differing sites. The internet can't decide whether you're from Augusta or Atlanta.
Born in Augusta, pretty much raised in Atlanta my whole life. Went to college in Tennessee. Lived in LA for 6 years and then came back to Atlanta. So I'm an Atlanta resident right now. But
Gotcha.
yeah, from Atlanta.
From Atlanta. Okay. So when did you start acting?
Oh man, I started acting. I started acting my freshman year of high school is when I started taking drama classes.
Okay.
And that's because there was a girl that I liked, and I found out she was in drama class, and so I worked my way into that drama class, and was like, oh yeah, this is kind of fun. I actually kind of like it, and I don't completely suck at it. So I kind of toyed with it off and on. When I was 19, I got my first agent, which was a long time ago. And then kind of went in and out of it while I was finishing college, and moved to LA shortly after graduating college, and just kind of stuck with it ever since then. Yeah.
That's great. Did you develop your look over time, or did you always have that jawline?
That took actually my parents did that. That was all on them. Yeah.
Just chiseling away.
Chiseled away from, when you were born and they put like the boards here, like, to, shape it. Yeah.
Like those paint, like those old Chinese parents that would do that with the feet, the binding.
Totally. Yeah. They did that. So my pictures at like 1 and 2 are pretty incredible. Like the jawline looks great. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Okay, so you moved to LA, and are you living by yourself? Are you living with friends?
I moved. I had just done a bit role on a film that was shooting here in Atlanta, and so I met a couple of the guys on that, and they happened to have an extra room, so I moved in with them in North Hollywood back when North Hollywood was like super cheap and easy to live in. And I just never worked in LA. Never worked in LA.
Really?
Auditioned. Yeah. LA wasn't good to me for that reason. I don't know why.
Oh that's
worked in Atlanta
for me.
Yeah. I worked in Atlanta before moving to LA. Moved to LA, never worked, moved back to Atlanta, started working again. So
wow.
Part of that, I was naive and green and probably not fully ready for LA. So LA was a probably my biggest learning experience of what not to do acting wise. And I feel like, the whole acting process, whether it be auditioning or script breakdown, that's a continual growth process to begin with. But I learned a lot of what not to do when I was in LA, but it was helpful in the long run. Right?
Yeah. Were there any positives from living in LA?
I met my wife in LA, so yeah.
Really?
I should probably lead with that as like my LA positive. Yeah, I met my wife.
I'll just edit it and make it sound like you were talking about her the whole time. She's like, "Who's this girl from high school?" You're like, "It's no one, baby."
What? No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of stand-in work in LA. That's how I paid my bills. I didn't want to wait tables. I didn't want to work at a coffee shop. And I learned a lot with that. I mean, I stood in for like guys like DiCaprio and Jason Statham and Colin Farrell and like huge list of names. And I learned a ton. I mean, that's one of the best acting classes you could have right there, is watching those guys work and, getting some side conversations with them every now and then. And that was a huge learning experience for me. Yeah.
Wow. So how did you meet your wife in LA?
I went to a church in LA, and she was part of the band and sang and played guitar. And I played guitar and was looking to scratch that guitar itch. And so I was like, hey, can I play guitar in your band? And she was like, sure. And it was love at first sight for her. But no, so so that's how we met. And we played together in a band for a while, started dating a couple months later. And, now we're coming up on 15-year anniversary. So there you go.
Where's the band today?
Defunct. Yeah.
Defunct.
No
okay.
Yeah.
I know. Do you talk to any of them anymore?
Yeah, we keep in touch with some of those guys. For sure. I mean, my wife still does music, for her job. I mean, that's her guitar hanging on the wall right there. So she still does it. And that's a big part of her life, but yeah, that's how we met.
Oh my gosh. Churches. Okay. So that's good to know. When churches are a thing again.
Yeah. Yeah, when we can go back, that's a good place to go back. Get a date.
Yeah. Sir, are you here to be part of the congregation? No, I'm actually just trying to see if there's any love at first sight people in it. Do you guys have a band?
Are they going on anytime soon?
Yeah, not till 2025. Okay, I'll just be alone forever.
I'll check back then.
Yeah, I'll check back then. Yeah, I heard that's the only way to do it these days. So that's crazy. All right, so I see that you on your IMDb you did have roles like on Drop Dead Diva, and you did American Reunion, Let's Be Cops. So were those all shot in Atlanta, or did you go back to LA for a time?
No, all shot in Atlanta, and it's really crazy. Like the amount of stuff that I read for that shoots LA, Vancouver, New York. And I book Atlanta, and it's great because I can drive to set and drive home and sleep in my bed at night. But there's this weird part of me that it's like, I want to do a real film or like a real TV show. And granted, The Walking Dead's a real TV show, but when you are like, when your middle school parking lot is base camp and you drive back home at night and sleep in your own bed, there's this weird stigma that it's like, I'm not doing a real film. I want to do a real film.
Right.
But I mean,
too comfortable.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got 2 kids, so I get to go home and see my kids every night. So I mean, that's, that I love that aspect of it for sure.
Wow.
Working in Atlanta.
Amazing. Yeah. People are saying that Atlanta's kind of becoming Hollywood 2.0. I guess that's kind of true.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the air is like super smoggy. So that, that's Hollywood right there. Yeah. Traffic sucks. So we're doing the best we can to mimic everything that's happening in LA.
Yeah. Well, thank God. When you left LA to go back home, were there part of you that had given up on acting at all, or were you?
Yeah, absolutely. I was done. Once my wife and I got engaged, I was like, you know what? That was a good run. I gave it a shot. I should probably be in a
good run on the career, not us.
Good run on the career.
He's like, what?
Got my real estate license in LA.
Really?
And so, I worked at a real estate office in Studio City and came back to Atlanta because I figured it was done. And right when we moved here is when the writer's strike hit. So that was like 07 or 08.
Yeah.
So I still didn't think much about it. And then when that folded, productions just started coming back to Atlanta again. And that was kind of when it really started to ramp up to what it was now. So I thought, man, why not just try this one more time? So and haven't looked back since this time, which is nice.
That's great. So no regrets.
No regrets. I mean, a lot of regrets. Yeah.
A lot of regrets. Pretty much everything's a regret.
Should have been a doctor, man. It would have been so much easier than should have just done something else. But it's too late now. I can't turn back now,
That's what people always say. They're like, if I needed something easier, I should have just been a doctor.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, the easiest profession. All right, so let's get into Walking Dead. You were there for 16 episodes, I believe, from season, kind of like mid-season 8 to mid-season 9. or actually late season 9. Sorry. So tell me the process, because I understand that you actually had auditioned several other times for several other roles on the show.
It wasn't until about season 3 that I realized I had actually read for the pilot.
What?
Yeah, for like a military soldier. I think there was the scene may have got cut. I don't remember. They were executing people in the hallway.
Oh shit.
In the hospital, and it wasn't until about season 3 that I was like, wait a minute, I think I read for this show.
Oh yeah.
Why haven't I read for this show again? And then I started coming in about season 6. I read for a couple roles in season 6 and a couple in season 7. And that's when you kind of feel like you're on the radar, when you start reading for a show over and over like that. You feel like that, okay, I've done something good. I think they're just trying to find a place to put me. And I was clean cut. And my manager at the time was like, why don't you just quit shaving, quit cutting your hair, and let's just see what happens. So like between the time I read for 7 and 8, I just went straight homeless. In the beginning of season 8, I read again, and a couple months later, that's when I ended up booking DJ. Wow. And that's why DJ looks homeless when you first see him, because I'd kind of targeted the show. I was like, well, I think they're trying to find a spot for me. Maybe I'm just too clean cut looking. Let me do something to try and see if that helps. So so that's what happened.
The Saviors are a rugged group of people, even though for some reason, every time we see Negan, he has a fresh haircut.
And he has like a nice undercut. Yes.
I know. Even what's up with that? Even in season 10 and season 9, when he's in prison, and there was the one time that he had like the beard, but then after that, he they cut to him and he has like the shaved sides and then like the perfectly gelled hair. And I was like, is someone like just slipping him products?
I was he was taking half of people's products when he would meet into other.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Do you guys have any Old Spice? Those are deleted scenes.
We're gonna need half of that.
Yeah. On July 30th, you tweeted that you had an embarrassing Scott Gimple story, and I would love for you to share it right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to share that. So I actually did stand-in work on Walking Dead seasons 3, 4, and 5.
No way.
I came in and out periodically, just trying to, pay the bills. And season 5, we were shooting at the hospital. It was with Beth, when Beth was captive at the hospital. And you got to understand, during this time, I was potty training one of my kids, right? So every time I got to take my kid to a public restroom, somebody's peed all over the seats. So then I'm, wiping their pee off, trying to get my kid a clean seat to sit on. Mm-hmm. So I go to the bathroom in the hospital and the seat is covered with pee. And I'm like, you know what? I do this 5 times a day. I'm not going to wipe someone else's pee off the seat today. So I went ahead and make sure I did not add to the mess. And then I went to walk out of the bathroom. And when I opened the door, Scott Gimple was standing right there. And so I thought, oh, geez. And this is when he's showrunner. And I'm thinking, Scott Gimple is going to think that I peed all over the seat and didn't clean it. Like, what kind of an adult? And I had some interactions with Scott at that point. And so, just when you think it can't get worse, I decide that I'm going to stand there and wait for Scott Gimple to leave the restroom so that I can tell him that I'm not the person that peed on the seat, which if I didn't look guilty when he walked in, I think you're like double guilty when Scott Gimple walks out. And I'm like, hey, just want to let you know that I wasn't the guy that peed on the seat in there. And then his reaction, it was, something like, okay, you just incriminated yourself even more.
Yeah.
By waiting for him to come out of the bathroom to greet him and say, by the way, that wasn't me that peed on the seat in the bathroom. So what I should have done is gone and double check and see if Scott cleaned it.
Man, the overthinking Hall of Fame. I can relate. That is.
Yes. Yeah.
That is a Mount Rushmore overthink. But that's really solid. And you know what? Hey, it didn't end up sinking you. You ended up getting this
right. Yeah.
Later
he's
on.
The one who hired me, so I'm assuming he didn't remember that at all whatsoever, which is great.
It'd be funny if he's like, you're perfect for this DJ role, but I got to say, a few years back, did you pee on that seat? And then you're like, no. And he's
no,
like, you got the role.
I specifically told you I wasn't the guy that peed on that seat, remember?
I stood outside like a serial killer and
like
made sure to tell you. Like, yeah, like I'm in a season of You. Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine in any area of life, you leave a restroom or you walk into a restroom, you pass someone, and then when you're leaving the restroom, that person is waiting for you when you come out?
Just do like a post-game analysis, like basketball, just like hold a mic to your, it's like, so what happened in there? It's like, well, you try to aim, but sometimes you miss your shots, and
that's why you just got to keep working at it and get better. And
yeah, and like, all right, well, just good luck next time. Thank you. It's dumb. So you finally booked the role. That must feel really relieving. Where you're like, I've been on the show. I'm finally here, not a stand-in. What was your first day on set like?
First day on set was an all-nighter, which it was somehow the only all-nighter I ever pulled on the show, which is an absolute miracle. And it was the scene. It was the 808 where the Saviors attack Alexandria, and Carl ends up down in the sewer. Yeah. So DJ is actually one of the guys that chases Carl down in the sewer, and Carl drops smoke bombs to get away. But yeah, first day was amazing, man. Like a lot of the crew are the same people that have been there for years, and so I knew a lot of them. So it was really cool to see them coming back from an acting standpoint, and they knew that I wanted to act. So for them to get to see me do that was a lot of fun. But yeah, it was a great experience. We blew up half of Alexandria that night, and so I got to see the church explode and cars and things like that. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, that's
sick. I always wonder, like, if I'm in Alexandria and this is real, like I'm moving. If I have like this group that keeps harassing me, like what is there? Like what is there, like 1 billion empty neighborhoods in America? Yeah. Like, is this? I mean, I know you guys built a gate or like a wall and everything. That's cool.
Yeah.
And you have an armory, but just move. Like, go literally anywhere else. Like, there's no phones. Like, there's no way they could like track you. Maybe like just go to the
like
go to
literally
West Virginia.
50 miles in the other direction. They're probably not going to find you. Just
literally anywhere. Oh yeah, just peruse. They're like, oh, this neighborhood looks kind of nice. Yeah, we could start building a wall. Because I'm like, this is bullshit. Thing. They're like, I'm just trying to make cookies and survive, and people are throwing grenades over the wall, and kids are dying. Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
But
any other time in life, your neighbors do that, you're gonna move.
Yeah, exactly. If neighbors start like hauling grenades over, I'm like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I'm not like, we gotta stand and fight.
Was that your Rick?
That was my Rick. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes. Coral.
There we go.
Yeah, I've heard some stories about Andrew Lincoln and how intense he is to like prepare for a role and everything. Do you have any experiences with that, like firsthand?
Well, I mean, I'm sure people know Andy's always has his AirPods or earphones, earbuds, whatever. He always has those in, whether he's learning lines or running some music to get him set for it. I only had one. I guess I had more than one scene with Andy. I mean, all of season 8, I was with Jeffrey at the Sanctuary.
Right.
So it wasn't until season 9 that I actually got to be in scenes with other people, which was really cool. What was it? 903 or 904, somewhere around there, where DJ was part of Jed's little band that was trying to get the guns, and there's a scene where we ambush Carol and Rick in the woods, and so that was one of my really only hardcore scenes, I guess, with Andy. But yeah, I mean, that was a pretty intense one, and he was off on the side, like prepping and the way he does. And God, I remember we were getting ready to shoot. I don't know if I should say this or not. I guess he wouldn't care. And like when we were setting up where we were cameras, he and I were opposite each other, both hiding in the woods, but where we could see each other. And he was just getting hyped up, and he's like, "Man, this is just so fucking fun." And I was like, "Yes, it is. Like, this is so fun." It's like 3 a.m. at that time. We're in the woods, and the smoke's going, the lights are up, and it was good, man. It's fun.
That's amazing. I'm wondering, how many takes does it usually take to like get a shot?
It always varies, but it's usually, on average, Walking Dead, it's pretty quick. I mean, you can do 3 or 4 on wide shots, and then you're getting into coverage, so you're getting 3 or 4 of one actor, and 5. There's times where you go longer. There's times where you may nail something the first try, and you're going to go ahead and get a safety or 2 anyway. But Walking Dead moves fast, and I think it's because it's so hot and everybody wants to get out of there and go inside.
Nice. Do they shoot on film still?
Yes, they do.
That's crazy.
I know. It's fantastic.
I respect it, and you probably get fewer takes that way. Whereas like digital, they're just keep going. This is forever.
I know, but it's fun. Like, I miss the old checking the gate days, and so we still got to check the gate. And I think one of the last times I shot one of the season 10 flashbacks, we actually had a hair in the gate, so then you got to go again to make sure you have that clean film. But yeah, it's really cool. I love that they still shoot on film.
So while you're doing this, like Walking Dead, obviously a huge show. Your friends and family must have been really excited for you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and especially since it's a show that I had pushed to try and get on for a long time. Like I said, it shoots here, so to be able to be on something so long that I can just stay home is fantastic. But yeah, everybody was really excited, and as an actor and an actor's family, when the actor is working, everybody's happy, because that right. in itself can be hard to get work. So to get work and to have it something like The Walking Dead was a ton of fun. Yeah.
Wow. Are your folks still around?
Yes, they are. And my mom actually, after I booked The Walking Dead, she binged it like the first 7 seasons, I think in 2 or 3 weeks.
That's a lot.
And then fell in love with Norman Reedus in the process, which was super interesting. Which I've told Norman this several times. In the last season 9 wrap party, I took my mom to the wrap party to meet Norman, which was cool. And Norman is great. I'm sure everybody knows that.
That's fantastic. So, you hear all these horror stories about parents who are very, understandably uneasy sometimes when their kid decides to go into acting. Were there points where they were like, Matt, like maybe you should just do this
no,
or that?
Not at all, which is
good.
Which is great. No, my parents have always been very supportive. My mom especially, and they've never not encouraged me to do it. Right. And like that is such a huge part, especially if you're an actor and you get married and you decide to stay in it, to have a spouse that supports it, because it is not easy. Like it is. No. It's really, really tough, and you put up with a lot of crap and a lot of auditions and a lot of no's, and you actually might get the audition and get the part and shoot it, and then your stuff's cut. And so it's just constant hills to climb like that. And so if you didn't have a supportive family, it would be pretty impossible to stick with it and to keep trying.
So when the shift goes from Scott Gimple showrunner to Angela Kane as showrunner, did anything major change for you as an actor?
For me, as a co-star, I started to get the full script. When Scott was showrunner, I would literally get, what I would get would be my scenes, and then on the day of shooting, we would get the sides, so then I could read through and see everything else that was being shot that I wasn't in. And that can be hard as an actor, because then it's basically like an audition. Like you get an audition that's 3 pages in the middle of a film, and you have no idea what happened before that and no idea what happened after that. So you're kind of playing it like you think this one scene is, but in the grand scheme of things, this scene may not mold with the rest of the film. And so I had a couple times where I would, for season 8, where I would have a scene and whoever was directing would come over and ask me to change it up a little bit. So I would change it up. And then you see the final and you're like, oh, that's why he had me change it, because of the scene that had just happened right
you're
before
like, Rick was doing what during this whole time?
Yeah. So that was a huge thing. So season 9, I got full scripts. And that was the biggest for me. I mean, there was a lot more freedom to ad-lib is not the right word, but close to it in season 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. But other than that, man, Angela has known Scott forever, and they work very similar. And like I said, the whole thing is a well-oiled machine. I mean, from from the offices in LA down to Crafty in Atlanta. It's a pretty well-oiled machine.
What's it like dealing with a different director from episode to episode? Is it like being on a team and like the coach keeps changing, or does not much change for you guys? Because I imagine each director has their own vision for how they want to shoot it.
Yeah, I'd never really thought of that analogy, but that's a good one. Yeah, it is a little bit like that. I enjoy it. Just because I like meeting people. I like meeting new people. I like talking to, when we have downtime, finding out, oh, this is your third episode. Okay, cool. I had a couple repeat directors while I was there, which was nice. But I like it. They all obviously are coming off of Angela's vision in the whole. And so, I know they've had extensive conversations with Angela before they ever show up about the vision of the season and where it's going and where that episode fits in. But I really enjoy it. The only time that I find it difficult is if you don't know the director and you can tell they don't really want to get to know you. That's the only time that I am like, all right, well, whatever. I'm going to shoot my stuff for this episode and move on to the next one. And I'm not trying to say that about anybody on The Walking Dead in general. That's just the TV show experience in general. Because, if you're on a film, you get to know the director and you just build that relationship through the course of 3 months or whatever it is. So, you just have different personalities. Some people are there to work and don't want to necessarily make friends with every actor on set, especially a show like The Walking Dead that has a huge cast.
Right.
And I get that. And so, but I like that connection with directors. I like it with producers, with writers, with the other cast members. I think that's what makes it be a collaborative project. But so I like the directors changing and coming in and out like that.
For Rick's last episode, that must have been pretty insane to shoot, especially they're bringing in like old cast members and John Bernthal and everything. So what was that like, sort of being around there at that time, like for that?
Well, I wasn't in 905, which
I know you were in 905.
I was in 904 and 906.
Right.
It was I'm a huge Rick Grimes fan and Andrew Lincoln fan. And so I did not want him to go. Totally get why he did. But it was weird. Like it was, 905 was probably a lot different since that was the finale. His finale, 904, I'm trying to remember if I had some stuff with Andy. I think I did in 904. Yeah, it was just it was like when something's about to happen. I'm trying to find a good analogy. When you think, I don't know, you're going on vacation and the time gets closer and the anticipation is there, but you're working all day, so you don't feel like you're ever actually going to get to vacation. That's a terrible analogy, but that's all I could come up with. It's like, everybody knew he was leaving. We knew it was coming, but it wasn't like this real thing that had actually happened. I think I actually did show up at some point during 905 for a haircut and a beard trim for the big time jump. And got to see Andy one last time and just tell him thank you and stuff. And then when you show up after that for like 906 is when it was like, oh, he's not here anymore. That's weird. It was weird, but I mean, Norman and Jeffrey have done a great job and Denai taking and running with the show and filling in the gaps where Andy was and just picking up the leadership. And it's a well-oiled machine. I mean, and part of that is due to Andrew Lincoln too, like the way he worked and greeted everyone and made everyone feel a part. Like a lot of that is a big testament to him.
Absolutely. I remember hearing that he was leaving and I was like, oh my God. Cause like my whole job is like about the show. So I was like, well, we're fucked. But then cause he makes it just about to the end of the comic series too. Carl actually is he's the last man, standing, which is pretty nuts. Did you ever read the comics?
I did not. Once I got on the show, I started picking up the Negan era stuff, kind of see where it went. And then once I found out I was going to stick around to the Whisperers, I picked up the Whisperer comics just to kind of get an idea of where it was going and wanted to see what I thought was going to happen.
So when did you get the call about your character's unfortunate demise?
It was probably about 2 weeks, I think, before we shot it. Yeah.
That's got to be a gut punch.
Call. What? Let's see. Yeah, it's a gut punch. I was trying to think of a nicer way to put it. I mean, you kind of expect it's going to happen eventually, based on the show and what it is, and that you're just not going to last forever. I started to feel like DJ had built some longevity, and then maybe he would be there. I really wanted to be there for the Whisperer War after reading it in the comics, and I think there's a specific scene in the comics where I think it's Dwight who is carrying Negan, and they're in the middle of the Whisperer War, and he tosses it to Negan, and Negan starts going to town, and I was like, okay, I want that. I want to do that. I want DJ to be the one that tosses Negan or Lucille back to him.
Yeah.
So I started to feel like that DJ was going to be around for a little bit. So it sucked, but it's just part of the show, and it's part of show business. And so I got about a 2-week heads up because we had to do all kinds of special effects stuff and do the head casting, things like that. So
yeah. How did they, since they killed off so many people at one time, how did they reveal that? Did they just tell everyone separately, or were they like, this is how it's going to go?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I heard separately, so I'm assuming everyone else did. I would imagine some other people got a bigger heads up, maybe like Alana or Caitlin who were two of the bigger veterans that ended up on the pikes. But I'm trying to think, that was 9/15. I think it was like 9/13 or 9/14. The rumor was that they hadn't fully decided who it was going to be, because we all knew it was coming. God.
Yeah.
At the end of season 9. And so I if I remember correctly, it was pretty late before the final decisions were made.
Whoa. I'd love to know like who they were considering.
Yeah.
In the comics, it's Ezekiel and Rosita.
I remember Kari thinking that he for sure was going to be ahead on the pike.
Yeah.
Just based on the comic,
I don't know what, now he has like a tumor. Like, I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, right. I forgot about that.
Poor Kari. He's such a nice guy.
Kari's a nice guy, yeah.
Man, so what was it like working, because you were there they did all those flashback scenes with Samantha Morton. Did you come back for that then? You were saying like the season, you said season 10 flashbacks. Okay, wow. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, it ends up being, 0.34 seconds on screen there. One is Sadiq's flashbacks where you see DJ get his head lopped off. But it was super cool. They had like recreated. And when we shot in the original barn for that whole scene of us going in to rescue everyone, we were like on location in a barn kind of thing. And when we did the flashbacks, they had recreated a good bit of it on the sound stages, which, I mean, just that in itself is always cool. When you go see a recreation on set, is fun. And Cutlets actually directed that episode, who's one of my favorite directors and people on the show. And I had done 907 with him this season before. So it was really cool to go back and get to add a little something to the beheading scene, since we didn't really get to see much of anything. But the scene was actually longer too, because they had the Whisperers pulling me in and dropping me down in front of Alpha, and DJ and Sadiq kind of had a moment there knowing what was about to happen. And I hate that none of that made it, but they said it was going to be like just super quick cuts and really fast, but it would have been fun to see some more of that.
Yeah, I will say I and a lot of fans were very sad to see you go. That was
thanks, man.
That was tough. I mean, the Terras and the Enids were shocking, but seeing you, I was like, oh, damn it, not DJ.
I said the same thing.
I know. I feel bad. I don't know the actor's name. The guy who, like, the episode before they introduced the Highwaymen. I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Sort of this like Harley Davidson, group, rough and rowdy. Nope. They just needed more heads on the spikes.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, oh man, that's like literally his character arc was one episode. I was like, that's tough.
There was a rumor that I don't know where I even heard it that not all the heads on the pikes were going to be shown. That it was going to be not as, and so I was like,
that would have been such a headache.
Maybe there's a chance.
That would have been such a headache for me.
Yeah. I got it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like when they did the big cliffhanger of who Negan killed at the end of season 6. That was the longest summer of my life. People on Twitter are pretty wild these days. And they get really, I guess I have to ask your opinion. You can plead the fifth if you don't want to get into it. But with the whole Carol Daryl, now Daryl Connie thing, like it does seem like, I've been watching the show since the beginning. It seems like Carol and Daryl have obviously a very close relationship, whether it's romantic or, platonic or otherwise. And then the Daryl Connie thing actually makes more sense to me as a relationship if Connie's still alive. We don't know. I mean, I know, but it's fine. Do you have any stance on either one? Do you care?
I mean, I love Lauren and Melissa both, two of the sweetest people ever. I would be okay if Daryl and Carol were together. I've got no problem with that.
Right.
Like, I like a little Daryl and Carol. That's, you can chalk me up in that category.
Yeah. Another thing that blows my mind is that Daryl has gone, 10 years in the apocalypse, and as far as we know, has not been romantic with anyone.
Yeah.
Dog. He's just asexual. Dog.
Should probably cut that part.
I got some peanut butter. Do you still keep up with the show?
Yeah. I was a fan of the show before I got on it. And so and now everybody's my friend. So I still watch it just to see where it goes and what everybody's doing. And still watch it every Sunday night.
Wow. I'm really curious what they're going to do, because usually each season they cover about 20 issues of the comics. So we're at about issue 170 right now, 172, meaning the next season, if they kept that structure, would go till the end of the comic series. So I'm wondering if they're going to just end it after 11, or they're going to Game of Thrones it and just be like, we'll make it up. I don't know. Daenerys burns the city of women and children. You're like, what? I don't know if George R.R. Martin would have written that. Do you have any opinion on that? Like how long they'll go?
Well, didn't they announce it? I mean, I know.
Well, I
thought they did.
They said season 11 is definitely happening, but that's as far as I know. You know more?
Oh, I mean,
you can tell me off podcast.
I can tell you off podcast. I mean, I've heard things from people on the show, and I thought it was all kind of out there.
Oh no. As far as we know, there's going to be a season 11. They're doing a strict 2 seasons of World Beyond, and then Fear the Walking Dead is still chugging along. You've talked about Rick leaving the show before and saying that you think he had a pretty perfect exit. Do you have an opinion on the Rick movies that are planned?
No, I don't have an opinion at all. I did love Rick's exit. I think if Rick died on the bridge, it would have been absolutely perfect. Like, that scene was just so awesome.
Yeah.
No, I don't have an opinion. Like, I've already said, I love me some Rick Grimes. Like, he is as Han Solo was in my childhood, so Rick Grimes is in my adulthood. I love Rick Grimes. And so if there's some more Rick Grimes to be seen on screen, I'm definitely down for that.
Yeah. I wonder,
but who knows, with the way everything is, the world's crazy right now. So who knows?
Cut to 2 years from now, it's like a Zoom movie where Rick's like, I'm stuck in this, and I just have a camera. Oh my God. It's nuts. Yeah. Everyone's like, when's the show coming back? When's this coming back? I was like, guys, just wear a mask and then maybe we'll find out.
I know. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That actually blows my mind.
If you want more episodes, wear a mask. How about that?
Yeah. How's, you said you had an 11-year-old. Do you have any other kids?
I have a 11-year-old girl, 7-year-old boy.
Okay. And what's that like? Okay. So those are pretty good ages. What's it been like during quarantine?
I mean, you have your days where you want to lock your kids outside for sure.
Yeah.
But for the most part, man, we've honestly had a great time during quarantine. me and my wife and my kids, we actually all love to be around each other. So that helps. You know, we've gone throughout the whole Marvel library of movies, and we've gone through Star Wars. And so it's a lot of family time and movies. And now that, you know, when summer finally hit, it was lake days or pool days or doing whatever you can just to get out of the house. But it's been good. We've had a lot of fun. My kids actually go back to school next week. And so
really?
I'm kind of excited and a little disappointed.
School, like in person?
Yeah, they go to private school, so they're going in person.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Are they like, because I saw the not scary or anything, but they had that high school in Georgia that had, like, you know, with the packed hallways and stuff. And they just reported yesterday that they had 9 cases there. So now they've shut it all down. So are they just going to allow fewer kids into your kids' school, or? No,
well, I mean, it's a private school. It's a little bit of a smaller school anyway. Like, so, I mean, the entire school, I don't think is 1,000 kids, and that's from like kindergarten to 12th grade.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm not concerned about that overcrowding like that. I want them to go back for their sake, just for the social interaction. Like, I think my kids are tired of playing with each other, like they have been for the past 5 months, and just want to get out of the house. So I'm excited for them to get back for that aspect. I'm not concerned yet about all the other stuff.
Okay. Are they going to have to wear masks and stuff?
They have to wear masks in and out of carpool, and they have to wear masks in the hallway when they're changing classes. But once they get into their classrooms, they can take them off.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, be careful, man. It's you know, it's been pretty wild, and Georgia's had some, you know, cases and everything. But I mean, so is here. Like in LA, like we can't even go outside. We can't go to the gym. I think personal trainers are going to be making a killing after this.
Totally.
Also, I think there's going to be a baby boom because there's so many.
Totally. Yeah.
I know I'm one of the victims of a quarantine breakup, but it's fine. But
Lou, sorry, man.
I know it's okay. It's okay. But I'm like, there are millions of people like me who are in quarantine, cannot meet new people right now. And I'm just saying, like, when this thing like the lockdown locks down, it's going to be like the 60s.
I know, man.
It's going to be like Woodstock.
And I'm glad I'm not having to navigate those waters in quarantine or post-quarantine or anything like that. I'm really glad.
Yeah, be glad that you had like this like really nice notebook style like romance where you meet someone out of a church band and you didn't have to navigate that.
I know, dude, trust me. I mean, we have friends, even pre-quarantine, we have friends talking to us about dating, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I don't have to do that again. That was the worst. I sucked at it too. That's probably why. How
did you suck at it? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh, dude, I was terrified to talk to girls. Terrified.
They are terrified.
Yeah, they are terrifying.
Are you also glad you didn't grow up where you have to like have like social media platforms that you have to constantly update with new content, and you have to like make yourself look as pretty as possible with like a bomb caption? Yeah.
Yes. I mean, part of that as an actor, that's kind of that pressure is kind of there to do that anyway.
Sure.
Which I hate. Like I really hate it.
I really like your Twitter. I think you're really funny.
Oh, thanks, man. I try. Thank you. I try to be funny. Like Twitter's where I try to throw my humor out there, because like humor and comedy is my favorite thing to do. Like if I could write my own ticket, it would be comedy.
Yeah.
I love doing it. I love making people laugh, but I despise keeping up social media, man. It is just the worst.
Yeah, I kind of got both. I was born in '89, so I remember the internet actually happening like when I was like 5 or 6, and we all had like AOL Instant Messenger and stuff, and you know, we had dial-up forever, and I couldn't be on the internet when my mom was on the phone. And then now it's this. But then I feel bad for the Zoomers or whatever we're going to call them, Gen Z, who they're born with an iPad in their hand. Like my nephews and nieces, like they're like addicted to the iPad. And I was like, maybe we should just let them look out the window. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, my kids during quarantine, I limited their screen time to like 12 hours a day, you know, because I didn't want them to be on it too much.
Yeah. 12 hours seems about right. That's pretty good.
Yeah, no, I mean, my kids have grown up with iPads in their hand. Like it was the world's greatest babysitter when you were at a restaurant with kids or whatever. Yeah.
I don't want it to end up like WALL-E, where everyone's like fat and just like on a computer and like roving around. Like I was like, wait, that might be where we're headed. I don't know. It's kind of scary. Well, so what else do you have going on? I know after Walking Dead, you did some Cobra Kai, and your IMDb says you're on a project called the Daylon Brothers.
Yeah, that was wrapped and done.
Oh, cool.
Pre-quarantine, which is great. So I don't know where that's gonna end up. Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, somewhere like that. Nothing, man. I actually had 2 gigs that I was going to shoot that I lost to quarantine. So I don't know. One of them is pushed indefinitely. The other one, they actually did a rewrite and wrote my character out just to limit people on set when they come back. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I know there are some productions that have cranked back up in LA, just because I have friends who are on them, so I know, and things aren't really moving much here in Atlanta yet. I don't think everybody will be back till the beginning of the year, like full force, and who knows if we'll be then. But so right now I'm just waiting quarantine out and waiting to see what happens.
All right, well, that's all I have for you, Matt. Thanks so much for talking to me. Stick around
thanks,
for a second afterwards. I want to hear about when The Walking Dead's ending, possibly. Sure. All right, Matt, thanks so much for talking with me, and I'll see you on Twitter.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Johnny. I appreciate it, dude.
All right.
All right, and that was my interview with Matt Mangum. I had such a great time talking to him. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to him. Make sure to follow him on Twitter and Instagram at MattMangum2. Next week, we have the incredible Jenna Elfman on the podcast. Fear the Walking Dead, Dharma and Greg, so much more. I cannot wait. Everyone be safe, wear a mask, and as always, happy birthday to Nate.